Hi everybody and welcome to Music Career Radio. I'm your host, Nani Noam Vazana, and my guest this week is Arlette Hovinga, an independent jazz marketer, publicist, and promoter from the Netherlands. In her words, she is always aiming to connect dots and strengthen the global jazz community. We had a little interview a couple of weeks back for her upcoming book about artists and programmer relationships, and we hit it off. So I think I can promise you a spicy conversation galore. As you know, all work on this podcast is done voluntarily, and we also collect donations for scholarships to support independent musicians. So if you'd like to give the gift of education to young inspiring artists, please visit ydiymusic.com/donate and make your contribution. You could also send a direct PayPal transfer to paypal.me/noamvazana. Hello, Arlette. How are you doing?
Hey,
welcome
hello.
to Music Career Radio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. We like you here.
Great. That's a good start. I don't always have
a good start. Yeah, not every time you come to a podcast they tell you, hey, we like you here, right? Like, it doesn't happen to me very often when I do interviews. They're like, who are you again?
Was this an agreed on thing, or did you just show up?
Yeah, exactly. So you play guitar, right? It's like, no, I play trombone. Do you play trombone? Really? It's like, isn't that not a feminine instrument?
Every day. But you're a booking agent, right? No. I do a bunch of shit, but not that. Like, that is the only thing that I do not do.
Yeah, exactly.
So censor myself, or can I say can I?
No, go all out, please. I like that.
Right.
And my viewers are also used to it. Like, we swear we do a lot of weird things here, so you can get used to it too.
A happy place. Amazing.
Thanks. Well, I think you fit this podcast a lot because you go all in, like whether it's your professional life or personal life. And I think it's very important for artists in general and for music professionals to have that attitude, because the cultural sector is what I call an ideological job. How does this attitude suit your profession?
The ideology part of it? I mean, I think it's really important to, really, really love your music and also your community, because at the end of the day, the music industry is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and nobody's going to tell you exactly how long it is.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's really important to, keep that stamina, even if, at some point you're going to fall flat on your face. If you fall flat on your face once, you're going to have to get up again, and then it'll happen again and again and again. The only difference being that in between that one time and the gazillionth time that happens, you've hopefully made some progress and learned a thing or two along the way. That, helps you not make those mistakes in the future. So that's really important. And, it's just one thing that I see a lot, unfortunately, also with musicians, is that falling flat on your face is somehow not something that people really take into account. They tend to get so passionate about what they do that they sort of forget that the greats of this earth obviously didn't, get born on stage and just, it's really, really hard work. It's a progress. Yeah. It's years of committing yourself to this one thing that you believe in, that ultimately other people will hopefully believe in as well with you. That bitterness is, it's not a good look for anybody, although it's completely understandable, but it will not, it's 2 steps forward, 5 steps back if you allow that to happen to yourself.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm glad that you say that, because a lot of musicians don't really realize that this is the case. And also because you're on stage and you have beautiful experiences with the audience, and these experiences get you to a certain high. The fall is harder. The fall from the high to the really, 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 really depth of the low is harder. And you got to keep reminding yourself that this high will come back, even now in downtimes, because I think now most of the musicians that I know, at least, they're having a hard time motivating themselves in this,
Absolutely.
generally in downtimes, but specifically now when we don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then what do you do? Because at the beginning of the pandemic, I had some difficulties myself. I was, let's say, deprived of my vision, because I had a dream. I was working towards something and it was working fine. I had to work hard, but I was getting closer to my dream. And I was already living my dream in some ways. And once the dream is taken away, you have nothing to aspire for. And at the first month, I admit, I was shocked. The first month, I did not know what I was going to do.
I think it's shell shock.
Sorry, you were saying?
I think it's shell shock for everybody. Like, whether you're a performer or you're behind the scenes like myself, everyone just like saw this happen. At first, you're like, give it a few months, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. I think my catchphrase, at least for some of my colleagues, is we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And that worked for me for a while. But I think it's very important, because you said the dream has been taken away from you, and I'm not.
Yes.
I understand that, because I felt the same way. I had to focus on marketing and publishing for most of last year and for most of this year as well, which is something I do enjoy. But ultimately, I had a couple of my own productions. Sometimes I come up with crazy ideas and just organize my own events or work together with festivals or venues to like make something work. And obviously that's not really an option right now. I can't program festivals like I would. And it's not, I don't think it's the dream that's taken away from us necessarily. It's the tools to make that dream happen have changed. Because ultimately, there's roughly three types of people in our industry right now. I think the one is the greats that can take a break for a year and just maybe release a new album, play something, try something new, and they can afford to take it because they're already there. Then there's unfortunately a large group of people who, have been forced to find other sources of income, which is a problem across the world, obviously. And then there's one group that just refuses to give up and that somehow like reinvents itself. And I'm kind of dancing on the brink of those two things, I guess, because I'm also forced to reinvent myself, much like everyone else, I guess, right now. But I think that there are definitely still opportunities, whether it's live streaming or hybrids or recording something that you otherwise wouldn't. There are still ways that we can, come together as a community, and that we can invest in our networks, and that we can, you and I have not, like, we didn't meet before the pandemic, but here we are, and I think that's definitely one opportunity and one way to at least move forward, because as much as I hate it, relevancy is a very big deal in music and in the arts as a whole. So, this is something that we have to play with, and that we're, most of the people that I work with are jazz musicians. We're adaptable. Improvisation is in our nature, fortunately.
Yeah, but in a way, I've seen that the jazz scene is a little bit more closed off than the world music scene. For instance, I operate in both scenes. I have 2 jazz projects and I have a world music project. And before, I was exclusively operating within the jazz scene and trying to fit in my world music projects into the jazz scene, and that didn't work very well. And now I'm doing the other way around. I'm fitting my jazz projects into the world music scene, and it seems to me that I find it more flexible and more allowing for things to happen in exchange of ideas, or perhaps collaborations, or something that is synergetic, and not rather I will be a part of your program because I'm cool, rather than no, I'm going to be a part of your program because I want to do something together, and then you create something. Sorry?
I said, are you saying I'm not cool?
Oh, no, absolutely, you're cool, absolutely cool, but
like we know each other. I can pull this off with you.
But your environment is a little bit more rigid. I think you operate in a tougher market than I do at the moment.
You know what? I don't know about that. I guess I know what you're talking about, and I know, the structures and the kind of old boys network that definitely exists. that definitely exists in jazz. But I am somehow fortunate enough to have wiggled myself sort of outside of that. I've always, I've always been fairly independent in the things that I did because I'm not, connected to one festival or connected to one organization. I always do a bunch of stuff on the side as well. And I currently, at least, I am surrounded by people who very much recognize that these structures are there and that they're wrong. Which is also, I recently joined the World Jazz Network as a, I guess you could call it assistant partnership director or something. I'm not really sure. I don't have an official title yet, but we're working on it. And it's just a really good way of bringing world and jazz together across the globe with there is no dig measurement bullshit. There is no, it's just, we have this idea that we should bring our music together as venues, as festivals, as promoters. And exchange talent and, pay them properly to play a fucking showcase because come on, pay to play.
I have a lot to say about that, but that's for another question maybe.
I asked my thoughts on that, but it's important. Yeah. It's really important to create this open and new environment. And, it's happened a few times over the last 6 or 8 months, I want to say, that, friends and colleagues have, invited me to the table and said, look, we kind of want to do this, 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 and this, and also fuck all this other stuff. What do you think? And it's created a really open environment to talk about what really matters, to talk about equality and transparency and reciprocity and all these things that can keep a scene healthy long term.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, we're not supposed to be in this for the money anyway. Like you said, this is very much an idealist environment. It's a people business, not a sales business.
Yeah, it's true.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
And if you're looking on both sides of the coin, because you've been programming, you've been promoting, you've been producing, so you've done a lot of things. What insights did you gain from being both sides now?
Well, this is a very unpopular statement, but I'm going to make it anyway. There are good and bad people on both sides, always.
Yeah, sure. Right? You can never make one distinction.
I've worked for festival directors who have openly stated that they do not love jazz, who have what is wrong with you? Get out of here, man. Come on. We got hundreds of thousands of euros in public grants a year only to spend 30 or 40 grand a year on programming. Where the fuck does the rest of that money go when everyone is either volunteering or sending one invoice a year? This stuff is wrong. And like I said, I have so many thoughts. I can fill 6 podcasts about this.
No problem. I'll invite you back.
I think we'll do a panel about this. That'll be fun. I think that the most important thing that I have learned is that as long as you're willing to learn, not just about the industry and about your craft, but also very much about yourself, then there is a place for you, because jazz and world music as well, and I'd like to see them, as twin sisters, I guess. I think that it's really important to keep reflecting on who you are and what you bring to the table, what you have to give, but also what's right for you. Because at the end of the day, you can put all the love and money and attention into this one product, but nobody becomes world famous on one product alone unless, you write the Ghostbusters theme or whatever. But for most people, it doesn't work that way. So you're going to have to take steps. You're going to have to be okay with, kind of climbing up the staircase at your own pace. And sometimes you have to be honest with yourself, because some things might not be for you. Doesn't mean that you're terrible at your job or that the job is terrible. It just means that there's maybe just not a really good match, because even though the jazz community is a family, very much, it's very close-knit community, at least in Europe. That doesn't mean that you have to like that you're going to be friends with everybody. It works the same way when you pitch music, for example, because you know
Families fight.
People, yeah, no, if you've pitched to 50 people and you've done your due diligence and you know that they should at least sort of like the music that you're pitching to them, then still maybe like 10 or 15 of them are going to be super excited and they're going to love you. And then, the other 35 or 40 are, they're busy or they don't have space or, maybe it's just, they like this sort of similar stuff, but only on Wednesdays. I don't fucking know. It could be anything. But yeah, you don't have to be for everybody. And I think, I don't know. I'm not sure how it is in the rest of the world, but we have that thing in the Netherlands going on right now, especially in funding, that like it has to be for everybody. And as someone who works with a lot of Eastern European and also Russian partners, there's a lot of great product there exactly because it's not for everybody. It's really good, and it's paying tribute to heritage and culture and everything. But it's not created to be for everybody. It is, and neither are you or me for that matter. I'm not friends with everybody. I think that would be exhausting.
No, you can't.
I would love to be
exhausting, I don't know, but I think impossible because there's so many different people that the only thing that connects them is their taste in music, and they're coming from all walks of life.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it doesn't mean that there's like one niche of like 20 people excluding your friends and family that will ever buy your CD. Absolutely not. But you have to find these people, and you have to, like I said, you have to be honest with yourself if things don't work, because it could be anything. That's what I get a lot in like one-on-one. I do one-on-one speed sessions of like 50 to 60 minutes. And I get that a lot. It's like, nobody buys this. Like, did you promote it properly? It could be the album cover. It could be the press release. It could be your pitching email. It could be a bunch of stuff.
It's usually the pitching email.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, at the end of the day,
it's usually your attitude when you present it. It's like most musicians who come to me, like the first question that I hear is, why doesn't anybody respond to me? It's like, well, did you check your attitude release, pitching email, booking email, all these things? When you come to a music conference, what is the first thing you do? If you jump at someone and say, hey, you gotta listen to my music, it's not gonna happen. That's like, it's like, hi, I'm shouting at you.
Not in the sales business.
I'm loud.
Here. I'm not here to buy something, okay? I'm here to help you present your product in the best possible way, possibly if we click. But at the same time, it's I got a Facebook message from this random guy. I already forgot his name, which is kind of the point of this whole thing. I got a Facebook message from some dude yesterday who said, hello, here's my music. I'm like, have we met? Hi, how's it going? What is this?
He didn't even say, hi, I am this and this. I heard of you from
who are you?
This and
who
that.
Are you? I get like at least 40 of these messages a week. What is this? Why me? And I got a message back saying, thank you for sharing. I mean, so I'm trying to be polite about it, but I always try to be nice to everybody. But it's, well, you're in the jazz industry, so you should appreciate my music. I'm like,
well,
what? It's not, I don't even know if the music's good because I didn't check it out. Sorry, I didn't. I might later. But it's not about this. If I hang out, like, if we hadn't met and we just were introduced to each other on Jazz Ahead and we would talk about, your favorite gin and tonic, or the state of affairs in the world, or, I have cats. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Then I'm so much more likely to actually want to know about your music because I know about you and I think that you are an interesting person. That inherently you must probably also make interesting music.
I think that's what the biggest problem of musicians in the industry is. They think the music should speak for itself. And it's actually your personality that has to come across. So when people come to a music conference or when they present their music to a new festival or whatever they do an application, they always say, hey, I'm cool. You better book me because I'm special. And they never say, hi, I want to hear about your childhood, or I want to hear about your passion. Why do you do your job? Like, nobody starts a conversation with, I want to hear you.
Yeah.
No, you got to hear me. And that you got to hear me attitude's not going to get you anywhere, because people are not going, why would they want to even listen to your music? They don't know you. They have enough people that they already know. And they have enough friends. So the only way for you to stand out is by somehow becoming their friend. And not expecting that this friendship, I'm not saying that the friendship has to be utilitarian. It's not like that you should have to make friends in order to score work. No, I'm saying like the only way you will get work in the industry if you make genuine connections. And when by connections, I don't mean protection, and I don't mean having, being friends with the top people. I'm talking about really cultivating personal relationships because you like those people, and you will not kick them off the table if you're having beer for 15 minutes. If you're getting bored with someone after 15 minutes having beer, you shouldn't be their friend. And that's the attitude.
I agree. I agree completely. I actually had a really fun conversation with one of my favorite people in the industry, one of my friends, and we were talking about that actually most of our friends are not even like really in the industry. They're actually IT people. Most of our friends mutually, like independently from each other, are a bunch of computer nerds. And the whole reason for that is that they're usually like, they're intelligent and funny and well-read people, which is things that I definitely like in my friends. But
and
also
self-deprecating.
Talk to. Yeah, no, really. I mean, it's not like, you have to, it's great to have friends in the industry, but also like we could do things together, or we could, throw each other a bone every once in a while. And I'm more than happy to, because I love working with my friends. But at the same time, like, I don't want to be surrounded by people that want something from me in my private life.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like, we owe each other all the time, because at the end of the day, whether you're talking about music or about any kind of relationship, you want it to be somehow equal. And if we start off on equal footing because we both like love the color pink, or, hate elephants or whatever it is, then at least
point me to people who hate elephants. I'll have to talk to them.
No, I don't know.
I'll explain why they're adorable.
I love elephants. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was very upset when I found out that Dumbo is a super racist movie, man. Like, broke my heart.
Really? I want to hear more about that later. I watched it when I was 5. I don't think I knew what racism was back then.
Me too. No, I had no idea. The elephants were my mom's favorite animal. So for me, that's... my mom got me into
jazz. That's why it's a point of reference.
Yeah.
Well, that's because they sound like trumpets. Well,
maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I've never thought of it that way. Interesting. Yes. Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, no, I wish that musicians, like, I much prefer having a beer with people. I really do. There's a friend of mine from Rotterdam. He's in Bulgaria now, where he's from. And I remember the first time he messaged me, he said, "Hey, we should have a beer. I'm new in Rotterdam." I'm like, okay, well, very upfront. Honestly, are you asking me this because you want to sell me something? Because I want to, like, if so, then I just want you to tell me right now. And I was having a good day, and I should have been nicer. And he just went, "No, man, I understand completely what you mean. I get this stuff all the time. No. You just seem cool. We're both in jazz. Let's go." I'm like, all right. We had a beer. We had a great time. And I can't wait to do that again, so.
Hint, hint.
For all of us, like, please.
By the way, this is a dating podcast.
Yeah, okay. Crazy jazz cat lady.
Yeah. Well, you chose to stay in the Netherlands. I mean, like, a lot of musicians and music professionals that I know choose to work in other countries other than their home countries. Now, I can't get you to stop laughing. I like that. Go ahead.
No, I'm just, like, expecting, like, this explosion on the screen, and then the heavens open, and there's a bard and you know, singing angels, and then
exactly.
Exactly. Oh my God! Yeah, you gotta put up with me. Come on, I'm surprised people are still watching. Are you kidding me?
They are used to it from me, man.
Anyway, as you were saying.
So you chose to stay in the Netherlands, which is interesting to me. Like, you know, it's a relatively small market. The Dutch won't like me saying this, but we're really close to Germany, and there's a bigger scene there, especially in jazz. I mean, the Jazz Ahead thing is like the whole thing is super German, and there are also more opportunities, more venues, more festivals, larger budgets. So why did you decide to stay here?
Woo. Well, actually, I didn't. I just didn't really like. I mean, I'm open to relocating, and you know, I work with Chechen Jazz in Poland, which I love, and it's a great place and great people and a great scene as well. I mean, I have friends and colleagues in Russia as well, and I mean, I would be open to relocating. I really would, but it just hasn't really happened yet. I don't work for a lot of Dutch organizations right now. I did Jazz International last year, which I really enjoyed, and hopefully we'll be able to put on another festival this year. But just like everybody else, we don't know anything. So I think I don't know if you know
These
that
are weird
about
times.
Yeah, it's a super weird time. I spent a bunch of time on and off in the United States as well, and I toured with Motown bands all over Europe for a couple of years. So I came home in 2015 because my mom got terminally ill and eventually died. So that kind of, it was a reevaluation point for me, and I decided that at least for the time being, I wanted to be here. And watch my baby nephew grow up, stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, I've always liked being on the road. I'm someone who's apparently, according to one of my dear friends, adventurous, I guess. So I don't know. I can just, like, as long as there's coffee and wine, I can just, like, settle in within a minute. It doesn't matter for me.
Two contrasting drugs. Coffee and wine.
Life's all about balance, right?
Yes, exactly. Eat more of this side of the mushroom.
Like Alice in Wonderland. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, I mean, I would be open to that opportunity if it would present itself. But I don't think I'm there yet. I think I have a lot of stuff to do here. I just joined World Jazz Network, and I'm really excited about that. And I do a bunch of stuff with my Russian and Polish friends. So I get to, when borders reopen, I'll get to travel a bunch, and I'll be around. But it's not something,
We virtually met in Russia.
What?
We virtually met in Russia.
Yeah, actually we did at Jazz Across Borders. Yeah.
Yes.
Which was actually, honestly, I'm not saying this because I work with them, but it is genuinely one of, if not the best, online festivals that I've seen. It was very interactive.
I think it was the best one I've seen.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I've heard other people say that as well. I thought it was really, really, really well done.
Yeah.
Because, the whole thing, I keep trying to see if there's comments here, so maybe I'm just missing something, but I can't see anything. Are people, like, saying anything?
Let's see. Hi, people. Are you saying anything? I'm going to refresh this page just in case. By the way, if you have any questions for Arlette, please put them in the comments, and we will do our best to address them during our Q&A section. Talia, I'm sure you have some insightful questions. I know you're watching, so go ahead. No, I don't see any comments so far, but this is the time. And of course, we got a new like right now from Talia because of the mentioning of her name. Hi, Talia. So where were we? No. Yeah, Russia. I never been to Russia, and then when I got invited to do the conference, the Jazz Across Borders sort of guest panel thing, I was really excited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to St. Petersburg. It's like, shit, no. It's on Zoom.
Well, hopefully this year. I mean, Yeah, hopefully this year. I'm definitely like I'm on that plane like ASAP. I was supposed to be back
Okay.
there in April or May of last year as well, and it's just. And then I was hoping for September, which didn't happen, and then
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The
Yeah.
only like weird advantage that I have is that at least by the time I get there now, at least I'll be able to like order coffee in Russian without being super embarrassed.
Because you study Russian, right?
Yeah, I'm taking classes, but it's very rudimentary right now. There's a lot of grammar, and my head explodes on like a weekly basis. It's been a lot of fun, but it's not something that I recommend to anybody who doesn't even remotely hate themselves. So
I tried it in high school because I had a lot of Russian friends. You know, in the
yeah.
90s, a lot of Russian people came to Israel. They made, like, they immigrated. And then all of a sudden, I had, like, when I was 14, I met all these Russian kids at school. And I wanted to learn their language because I read, what's that in English? Master and Margarita. I read that book. And I was like, wow, this is like.
I haven't read
Sorry?
it yet. Is it good?
Oh, you should. You would. I think if you like magic realism, then you would like it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Gabriel Garcia Marquez is one of my favorite writers. So yeah.
So I think it's right up your alley then. So I read that book and I was like, fell in love with Bulgakov, and I was like, yeah, I want to read Bulgakov, the original script, and I was like. Then after one lesson of Russian, I realized what I got myself into, and I realized that's never going to happen.
Wow, okay, so, you have a better sense of self-sustainability than I do. I just thought, it's like, I have no idea what's going on. Amazing.
Exactly. So it's like, well, then I thought to myself, yeah, playing trombone is hard enough. Let's focus on that. So I didn't continue with my Russian studies after that one lesson. But it was fun while it lasted. Well, good luck torturing yourself. I think Polish might be worse, actually. Because, like, I think it makes no sense. Yeah, like, I have some friends living in Poland, and every time I visit them, the husband of my friend is from the UK. He's British. And he always tells me about the illogical connections that they make grammar-wise. I say, well, I live here for 30 years and I still didn't get it properly, you know? So at least in Russian, you have like clear rules, you know? It's like comparing Dutch and German.
Have about a million of them.
It's like comparing Dutch and German. German has strict rules. If you stick to the rules, you're kind of okay. In Dutch, forget about the rules. You cannot make a fucking sentence, you know? It's like... So why is the verb here? Why is it at the end of the sentence? Why is it in the middle of the sentence? Why is it the first word? What the crap is going on? You know, it's like really... What?
Do you speak Spanish? Because I have this theory.
Not really. Ladino a little bit.
Under Spanish rule and siege for quite a while. It's been a pretty significant part of our history. And I have this theory that our language kind of evolved that way because our syntax is similar to Spanish.
Mm. So no, I don't speak Spanish.
I'm a massive language geek, which is also why I find this sort of stuff interesting, I guess. So
wow. So geek in many ways.
Yeah, healthy. Yeah. But it really helps when you write pitches, though, and press releases and everything. Creative language and creative writing. It's a fun thing to do.
Well, that's why you're good in publicity.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, she corrected one of my Dutch texts. That was amazing, by the way. Within 10 minutes, I was struggling for 3 hours, and she was like, done. It's like, yeah, well. Maybe go on to the next question because I'm having too much fun with you and I'm not asking you the serious stuff. So a lot of aspiring musicians think that in order to succeed in the music business, they need representation. So you work on both ways, let's say, with independent musicians and with agents. Do you have a preference to work with one or another?
No, I not really. It kind of depends on what I'm looking for, because if I'm looking for, like if I'm like, for me, a program has to fit, it has to be diverse. It has to there's every programmer has their own vision and their own preferences. Every festival has their own identity. So things that would work on one festival might not necessarily work for another. And if I'm just looking for like a party starter because I have this stage that I know attracts a certain demographic, then maybe I'll just call one of my booking agent friends and go, hey man, do you have, pitch me something like in like something funk or soul or whatever if I'm out of ideas. But at the same time, it could work the same with musicians, especially jazz musicians, because like most of them have more than one project. So for me, it's really about the relationship. At the end of the day, at least in normal times, festivals book between 8 and 12 months in advance. So if I know that someone's nice to work with, and I know that you have a record coming out, and I know that your performance is good and you're going to be on time and whatever, then I probably, it doesn't matter whether I trust an agent with this product or a musician with this product. For me, it doesn't really matter. What matters to me is that I don't have time to put up with your drama for 8 or 12 months. I don't want to have to worry about chasing you down for negotiations or waiting my turn until you finally grace me with your God-given presence and tell me yes or no. So it's, I work very fast and very direct. I don't want to do any of this. This is also a major advantage of some of my friends that I work with. Actually, I would say clients, but most of the people I work with are friends, actually. So I just, there's no unnecessary discussion. It's just I want to do this, this, and this, and this on this date for this fee. This is what I can offer you. What are your thoughts? And then we talk about it for 20 minutes. Yeah. Talk's done. You send me your press kit. You send me your riders, everything I need. Yes. We're good to go. Hurrah. Maybe I'll call you to do like a little video shout out or whatever. But apart from that, it doesn't have to be so dramatic or so complicated. And I very much prefer things not to be like that.
Yeah, so, and it doesn't require 50 meetings. Absolutely not. I had, when I was still working on the book, I had this brilliant conversation. Did you finish the book?
I have about 2 chapters to go, but it's a little bit on the back burner right now. Okay. It's not as much as a priority as it was in the last 6 to 8 months. Because unfortunately, it's gonna have to wait. But we talked about stage time, for example, and that a lot of artists do respect it, and some just really don't. And that is like the one thing. If you show up on time, get on stage on time, make sure you're ready. And also, in his words, he said, nobody cares about your soul singing for 30 minutes if your set was 15, because it's so disrespectful to everybody, to the crew, the organization, the programmer, but also to the band after you, because now they're losing time because you can't shut the fuck up and go home. So yeah. It is really true. And
be a human being. General tip for life.
Yeah, be a decent human being. Don't be a dick. Yeah. Amazing. Well, the amount of times that I had to chase artists around festival grounds because they showed up late or they got stuck in catering or like.
But why do you think that is? Like, why do people behave that way? They won't behave that way if they are scheduled to do an electrician job. So why would they do the same when they're doing a music gig?
That's a really good question. I think, for some people, it's just an attitude thing. And some people just don't give a damn, and, some people will get away with it because they have, the reputation or the stature but that you get away with it doesn't necessarily mean that you should.
I agree.
Yeah, because, I'm not really sure what the inherent advantage is of doing things like this. You're screwing over other people one way or another, and it's not fair to your audience. So if you want to play a good show, then giving your audience, hey Andrew, hello. I understand. He says that sometimes shit happens when you're touring and super exhausted. I understand that, of course, but then communication is key, in my opinion. I think it's important to talk to people like me behind the scenes, saying, "Look, I'm tired. Can we like work something out or something?" But in principle, if you're scheduled for like a 6 p.m. performance, then you're supposed to be on stage at 6 p.m. because that's what your
You're
audience.
actually supposed to be on stage at 5:30 for the line check.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if there's space, that's, you know, if you have a changeover time, then obviously, but you know, it's even if you do think that, you know, I had that when I worked for smaller local festivals. I had names that are now moderately famous, I guess, or doing well in the Dutch jazz scene, who just kind of treated me with something that sounded like a little bit of contempt, I guess, because you're just a small fry and I'm your headliner, and nobody gives a shit about any of that. You know, that Henry Rollins thing where nobody cares if you're David Bowie or the Milkman, that is really true. That is like, and Andrew, I understand that there's exceptions to this, of course.
Yeah. And of course, we're not talking about the exceptions, right? We're talking about the attitude.
Of course not. I mean, you know, I changed lineups within like 30 seconds because someone got stuck in the snow. And this stuff that's totally fine. That is totally fine.
We once we went to a show in Freiburg in Germany, and the clutch of the car got ruined during the drive. So we had to order a towing truck, and they took the car, and we were like in the middle of nowhere, and there was no place that you could rent a car nearby. So I hitchhiked to another place. Like I stood on the highway, on the A3, from Cologne to Freiburg, and I stood on the fucking highway, stopping cars, and one guy took me to this sort of a garage thing on the way, about 40 minutes drive from where we were. Back then there was no GPS, by the way, and I rented a car there. And then I drove back to that other garage to pick up the musicians and the instruments. And we drove to Freiburg. We arrived 40 minutes after the gig was supposed to start. But we went right on stage and played. And the first 3 songs were the sound check. And the audience was they thought it was acceptable. They were accepting of our being late because it wasn't out of our hands. But we did make our best. We did do our best shot to make it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. You know, it's about trust, and it's about effort. And shit can happen to everybody. At the end of the day, especially on tour, things will go wrong. You will get that flat tire. You will leave a venue in the middle of the night. The amount of times that I had to drive back in the middle of the night because a band would call me and go, "Fuck. This one thing, my drum kit, part of my drum kit is still at the venue," or drum mats, especially. That happens a lot. But can you please go? Yeah, sure. Okay. We'll go back and we'll ship it to you or whatever. These things happen, and that's fine. Absolutely.
That's insane.
Everyone knows that in festival world, ridiculous things will always happen because it's a people job and there's so many factors at play here. And that's fine as long as you communicate about things. You know, if you can't make it, or if something happens, or your car explodes, or your guinea pig dies, or whatever it is, just talk to me about it, and we'll figure it out. There's always a way, and I am super understanding of all of that. The difference is whether you want to make it work or not. And if I have to pick you up out of backstage 5 minutes after your sound check has happened and you're actually missing that, and then you're on stage late, and then you want to play longer because you started late or whatever, I don't that's a different thing. It's about attitude, it's about communication, it's about respect, and it's about trust. Like I said, that's a people business.
Yeah, it's true.
Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Now he's going to shovel snow, you see.
And I can't imagine what that must be like over there.
Yeah, where is it?
Oh, I think Andrew's in New York.
Oh yeah, that should be fun. I was talking to my I was talking to my uncle in Chicago yesterday, and he was saying that there's some houses that they had like a meter of snow, like in front of the door. It's like challenging.
Yeah, I've
You
seen
can't
pictures.
get out.
I've seen pictures from Montreal and from Moscow as well. I mean, we're freaking out about 10 centimeters here, but that's some
And the
serious-
trams don't fucking work when you have 10 centimeters of snow. But can you imagine what happens in Israel when it snows? The country is on a shutdown.
Well, I read somewhere the other
It
day
only
that
needs to rain and the country is on a lockdown.
Wow. I mean, I read somewhere the other day because so many people are complaining about weather conditions in the Netherlands and why don't you fix the trains, and the Swiss can do it and the Russians can do it and why can't we?
Yes.
This is where the Russians come into play and do something right, apparently, because otherwise we like to bitch about them and it's ridiculous. But anyway, I read somewhere that it's apparently cheaper to just, shut everything down for a day than like once every year than it is to actually fix this problem.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. That's our logic.
Sounds, well, kudos to the Dutch government right here. There's an election coming up, by the way, so you can still change it.
I very much doubt that's going to happen, but I look forward.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
It's me too. I finally get vaccinated, so.
Well, let's leave politics out of the podcast. But this is not politics, but it is something that is perhaps controversial. So people who don't like controversial stuff, buzz off. One of the biggest issues of the music industry is gender balance. Yes, we are addressing it. I had the pleasure to interview Vanessa Reed here in April when I started a podcast. She's the CEO of New Music US, and she also came up with a 50-50% gender balance scheme key change in the UK. So she actually changed the map of jazz festivals in Europe. And still today, we're supposed to be progressive and inclusive almost every time when I enter a venue with my husband, who is not a musician, by the way. People assume he is the musician and start asking him questions about the stage plot. And when he redirects them to me, by the way, I'm the one carrying the trombone, they come and they ask me if I'm either the publicist, the assistant, or the vocalist, and then ask me when is the pianist and the trombonist coming. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm the pianist and the trombonist. I was like, well, no, but we have three instruments on the stage plot. So where are the other two people? It's like, no, I play all the three instruments. It's a one-woman show. And they're like, what? What do you mean it's a one-woman show? And it's like, yeah, well, whatever. Let me just do the sound check and you'll see. And when I let them know, they're like kind of, okay, this is not possible. So in this relation, I'm curious to hear more about your work with events such as the Rotterdam International Jazz Festival, where, quite frankly, the jury members in the last 20 years have been predominantly and almost exclusively white, male, and over 50 years of age.
Wait.
So how does that work?
We're including a couple of ideas here. I think you're talking about the jury for in jazz, I think, for the Boy Edgar Prize or something.
Well, that's both. I mean, like, I think in jazz and the Boy Edgar Prize is actually worse because
But we don't have a jury. Jazz International is like 90% women.
Is it?
Yeah, like the festivals, and the events and everything. The director in Rotterdam is a woman, Sophie Blesset, she's great. And then Maite Ronselet, you might know her, in Nijmegen, I think. Or she's with...
No, I actually didn't know. So I was convinced that it was kind of the same guys.
She's with Music Meeting, and she was partnering with Jazz International last year. And then Michelle Bouwmans is, I think, Michelle? I forget her last name, but Michelle is the director at Jazz International Nijmegen. And then the PR team and marketing team is basically me and Sophie Conin. So, and then there's two programmers, and those are the only two guys. Everything else is women with them.
But the programmers, who are the programmers are male or women or female?
Those are guys. But
so that's what I'm talking about. The people who choose the bands, they're male. Yeah. And they're older.
Male, that is true,
yeah. So the programming team is done by male programmers. So how does that work? And it's been like that, as far as I know, for like 20 years.
I wouldn't know about that. I mean, I know that like the series at least for last year's festival that I helped promote, and for the series, Ain op Ain that we were supposed to do here at Disney's in Rotterdam, diversity and gender was very high on the agenda. So all the young talents that were invited, we definitely kept up to that scale. And I think that's really refreshing. I think Jazz International actually did a really good job with that. As opposed
to hear.
I think it was very empowering for me as well, because I'd never actually worked for a female business director before, and I was like, I could be a festival director when I grow up. This is amazing.
Yeah, well, but I feel that it's a little bit one-sided, because they do hire females to work at the festival, but these females are not hired to work as programmers. So they are not. They are, of course, the decision makers in the sense of in which venues you would play, but they are not the programmers as far as which bands are going to play. And this is, in a way, more the public face of the festival than the facility is. So. Where is the progress there? Is that an excuse? Is that like, hey, we're hiring females to our team, but we're going to put them in the publicity department?
I think it really depends on the festival and on the venue and on the organization, because, from a business director perspective, at least for Jazz International Rotterdam, there's a lot of pressure to be more inclusive, and that's definitely something that is very, very high on the agenda. Of course, it doesn't work that way for every festival. When I worked at Jazz in the Gracht in 2019 to create a program, and I insisted on gender balance and diversity and whatever, people just laughed at me, and they just went,
that's the feeling that I get.
Also, are you also gonna include at least 10% of disabled people? I'm like, what the fuck is that, man? Come on. It's the amount of times, even when I'm a programmer or leading a production or whatever, the amount of times that I still get, or stage manager especially, because God forbid, I used to build stages, man. Like, come on. It's actually a really good thing to do if you don't want to go to the gym. You get fit, you get paid. That was my game, man. Like graveyard shift once every 2 weeks, no gym for me. Amazing. Make it rain.
I don't go to the gym, man. I don't like it.
Oh, but even in stage building, I did it for a couple of years every once in a while, and I got, even by women, I was told that they would rather hire men, and then I showed up to the gig anyway, and there was a fucking 5 foot tall, tiny ass motherfucker next to me. I'm like, I am 6'2", dude. I can lift this guy.
I can dunk. You can't.
But anyway, and the amount of times that people tell me that I can't lift something because it might be too heavy, or whose girlfriend are you? Or in dinosaur days, 10 or 15 years ago, when I was in bands and my musicians were guys, people would literally come up to me after the show and go, so which one do you sleep with first? Now that I have some really
Jesus.
I have some really close friends in the industry, right? Some of which I talk to every day, and I love them so much. But because we're roughly the same age and we're both single, oh my God, when's the wedding? Woo! Just come on.
Do you know that I feel that that's not something that guys are being asked at all. We are getting asked all the time, when's the wedding? When are you going to have babies? And oh, by the way, you're over 30. By the way, there's going to be a baby coming, so you're not going to be a musician anymore. It's like, excuse me, you're 60. What do you want? I had this guy at Jazz Ahead, coming to me and looking at my hair and pulling out one hair, and it's like, do I see white? And I was like, what? It's like, did you look at yourself in the mirror in the last 30 years or something? What's going on? Yeah, I'm serious. I was like, yeah, but you're over 30. So what? You're over 60. What do you want? Did you lose your job?
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
and this is a regular thing.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time, and it's just. It's something that we have to keep talking about, and that we have to I get mad. I sent a caterer home at a festival once because I was helping with like loading the van out and just a bunch of crates of like soda pop or whatever. It doesn't weigh anything. And he just went, well, I would much rather that you get some guys to do this. I'm like, you know what? You're going to leave your van here, give me your fucking keys, and take your sexist bullshit home right now. Do you want to do this festival with me or not? Like, who's in charge? Me. This is my backstage area. This is my festival.
Yeah,
Take your ass home. I'm not taking any of that, because you know what? You and me have a mouth on us, and we don't take shit from people. But there's a lot of women that want to go into this industry and that don't, because men like have their small dick energy flaunting all over the place, and it's ridiculous.
Yes. Smaller the dick, the bigger the ego.
What year is it?
I think we're still in the 1500s, but mentally.
You should have let me know. I would have covered up.
You see, I'm so decent.
Wow, I was described as wild and adventurous the other day, so why not add promiscuous to the list while we're at it?
Well, next time we'll just do it at night, and we'll bring G&Ts. G&Gs.
Ooh, in our pajamas.
What?
In our pajamas, and we'll do pillow fight.
I don't have pajamas. I don't do pajamas. I don't know. I have jerseys and training suits and stuff like that. I don't do pajamas.
Oh yeah, that works. And like an infinite amount of hoodies that I bought from my friends' bands.
I have Kurt Cobain sweatshirts, from the 90s.
Sure.
Well, not with a picture of Kurt Cobain on there. I mean, like Kurt Cobain style clothing, like his weird flannel shirts, like this kind of. Right. I wear that stuff at home. Yeah. Beaten up sweaters and yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of part of your work is production and tour management. And a lot of people don't realize, musicians especially, that they kind of have to factor within the band's fee. Even the bookers sometimes, like the promoters, they don't really understand that you have to factor all these other things into the fee when you're planning a gig. So like there's visas to sort out, travel expenses, tour management, production, of course, board or per diem or whatever that is, everything that happens on the road. And there's should be also like an emergency fund, like for instance, if the car breaks down, if the driver breaks his leg, happened by the way, if the flight gets canceled, what do you do? Maybe you want to share some, I'm sure you have some funny stories. Maybe you want to share some of your experiences sorting these things out.
Yeah. I mean, like I do, or I did anyway, pre-corona. I'm anxiously awaiting for that job to come back. But I worked for Earthbeat Agency in Amsterdam. I spent 2 weeks on the phone to take care of her visa. And I really enjoy these things, but you have to
You're crazy, man.
Yeah, I know. Tell me something new. I don't know, man. I enjoy this. Like, let me talk to the Swedish embassy or wherever it was, somewhere in Scandinavia anyway. And they said, well,
the Swedish embassy is okay. Try to talk to the Moroccan embassy, or the U.S. embassy. Now we're talking,
There was this tour, right? And I think there were like 16 European dates or something crazy like that. It was a good tour, but it was compact, and it was, fly into Sweden, do a gig, move on to the next thing in another country. And I was trying to explain that to them. Like, we have this official invitation and like list of confirmed gigs, and this is what we're doing. And we need you to, give our artist a visa. And they said, well, we won't. Like, why not? Because, she had like a residence permit and not an actual passport. And you're still supposed to be able to travel with those in Europe. Yeah. At least. This was also pre-Brexit, of course.
But what do you mean she didn't have a passport? Her passport expired? What?
No. But you can travel within Europe. You can travel with like a residence permit.
But when you say she didn't have a passport, do you mean a European passport or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's a refugee. And anyway.
Okay.
she had refugee status, and it was a nightmare. I thought it was hilarious. Then again, like you said, I'm weird. And I spent 2 weeks calling these people, sometimes every day, saying, how are you feeling about this tour today? And at some point they were just like, look, man, we've already told you. I'm like, yeah, but I have also already told you. And they said, well, we want her to go back to the country she came from. And I'm like, she will, but we're also making 8 other stops in 8 other countries, because that's how touring works. And I have this list of confirmed gigs, and I have this official invitation, and I have all this paperwork. I can send you all of the promotional network. Would you like a press kit or a CD as well? I could,
I can mail it to you.
Yes. And after about 2 weeks, I just got someone else at the embassy on the phone, and with a big apology for the new girl. Like,
yeah. The thing with embassies is that you have to deal with interns a lot of times. It's what I've discovered in the last few years. Yeah. So they kind of dump the interns in the visa department, or in the tour production management, or event booking department, or whatever that is. And you gotta, like we did, I represented the Netherlands in the EU Music Festival in Vietnam, and we've been doing all this communication, and like for 3 or 4 months, and we're thinking like, why does she not understand what we're talking about? And then when we arrived in Vietnam, then we find out she's 19 years old, like, oh, she's an intern. That's why we had to explain every fucking move that we were making.
Yeah.
And
well, I think the first time I helped produce a festival, I was 16 years old, 17 maybe, something like that.
I bet you had more brains than she did. Sorry.
Well, I never graduated, so it depends on who you ask.
That's all right. You are so resourceful. You're independent. Because you do ad hoc things. And she was like, by the book. No, that's impossible. It's like, they fucking changed the date of the gig and location to another city. And they said, well, you have to buy a new flight on your own. I was like, yeah, give me the money. I was like, no, we stipulated in the contract that if there will be changes, then you have to pay for it yourself. I was like, actually, no, the contract says that if there will be an unreasonable political situation, the gigs would have to be canceled, then things could change. That's not an unreasonable political situation. We're talking about you changing the date to the gig. And she refused. By the way, we never got the money for these flights back.
What?
I'm shaming the Dutch embassy in Vietnam. Yes, I am.
Once you know the rules, you can start to break them. I spent 2 years in law school, and that is definitely one of the most important things I learned. There is always a way. There is always a loophole. There is always like a new angle or strategy or whatever. And, it's just about being creative with them. If you really want to accommodate musicians, which is ultimately my job, that's literally my job, like presenting and helping musicians to, reach an audience. And that's a responsibility, and you cannot be rigid if you want to be good at that job, in my opinion. Yeah. Also, we have Alf Wilhelm Lundberg. You're making me blush, man. I'm sorry. He says, I am one of those who contacted you last week with links to my music after hearing you would be the guest. I'm so sorry. I guess I didn't get back to you. What does it require for someone like you to listen to the music of someone that you don't already know that contacts you? What I want is basically what we already talked about. I want some sort of common ground and some sort of, hey, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. How's it going? And like what usually happens is just, hi, here's my music. I need a crumb of context, because even though, like, no doubt your music's great, and I'm really sorry that I didn't really get to respond to that. Really, please send it to me again, and I'd be happy to have a listen and have a look at it, really, honestly. But it is so hard to, in all these emails and all these requests for, I don't know, sometimes it's an opinion, sometimes sometimes I have no idea what people want when they send me music. And if I don't know what you want from me, and I'm at work, which is pretty much 24/7, because, like we said, this is not a dating show. Actually, this guy is not here. There is no harpsichord or singing angels here. So
Not yet.
No, well, I'm. It's I spent a lot of time at work, which is something that I love and it's interesting and everything. So I'm in no way complaining, especially not right now. But I need something like it's like you have to provide me a coat hanger if you're gonna give me like a set of new clothes, just to put it somewhere so I could look at it and fall in love with it. Because otherwise it's just going to end up on like that one notorious chair that I'm sure everyone has where your laundry is like waiting for you to get your shit together. So I need a little bit of that. It's kind of like pitching to whether you're pitching for a gig or for to a journalist or something. You need to like. I don't, without wanting to like put this all on the musician, like you're doing it wrong and that's why I'm not listening. That's not what I'm trying to say, because I understand that, it's very much a two-way street and I do want to get to know new people. I really do. I'm always happy to talk about jazz and about what I do and stuff like that. But it's so hard to keep up with everything that, please, Alf, I hope I can use that as your first name. Please, bear with me and please send it to me again. And for everyone else that's listening, thanks for tuning in and putting up with me. Please give me a hook, some sort of hook. Ask me a specific question or tell me what your incentive here is, because just sending me music and then like going, here you go, bye, is kind of the online equivalent of like running up to someone at Jazz Ahead and going, here's my CD, hi, bye. Well, also, by the way, who are you and what do you do? Because you're probably in jazz because you're here, right? Yes, but I asked one of our colleagues in Ljubljana, Bokan Benigar, about this for my book at one point, and he said, I don't want to be rude or anything, but if the first thing you ask me at Jazz Ahead is who I am and what I do, then my mind is everywhere. It's probably in my brain. I'm already walking to the bar to maybe, get the nice espresso, maybe a beer. But what I'm not doing is being in the conversation with you, because if you book a meeting with me, then I expect you to know why. That's just the why. It is so much better to reach out to like 10 people like me and actually do your due diligence and say, well, I'm reaching out to you because I have a question about release planning or about pitching or about crowdfunding or something. Or would you please review my EPK for me, which, I also be happy to do. Instead of just throwing something over the proverbial fence and go, because it doesn't make you stand out and your music should stand out. And you as a person, I'm sure, is also, capable of that.
Yeah. And imagine also that you get a lot of messages like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Like
I'm a little bit overwhelmed by that. So.
I'm a musician, like I manage myself and I have a podcast and I have a course for musicians and still I'm like, I don't book anything. Yeah. And I still get like sometimes 5 to 6 messages like that per day. It's like, hi, this is my music. Book me, please. Where? Where do you want me to book you? So at some point you just stop replying because you can't reply to everybody. Yeah. Why do you want to contact me specifically? I mean, like I could consult you, could help you out.
Exactly. Yeah. Why me? That is one thing. Because at the same time, you know what? You're expecting me to understand why you. This works both ways. Yes. If you want me to understand why you are special, then you also need to like give me enough credit to know why me. Yes. If I'm going to invest time in you, then the least you can do is like, if you Google Arlette Jazz, you can find every single channel in the world. You can find like a terrible, terrible website that I haven't used for years. A shitload of information about me, honestly, everywhere. So it's about reciprocity. It's about reciprocity in relationships, in booking, in communication. And I'm happy to do something for you. The only thing that I ask of you to do for me in return is actually like spend 5 minutes of your life Googling me. I may be reconsidering whether I am the right person to help you. And if I'm not, then I'm happy to redirect you to somebody else.
Yeah. I hope that was sufficient.
On to the next episode where we talk about artist promoter communications. I wrote about 250 pages about this. We can talk about it forever.
Yeah, we'll have to do another conversation. But I mean, like, I've asked you so many serious questions, so I feel like we should do something fun as well. Are you up for something fun?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have these 10 questions. They are like associative questions. They're taken from the Bernard Pivot questionnaire. And
oh my God.
You're supposed to react with the first thing that comes to mind, but I'm not that rigid, so you can do whatever you want.
Okay, well, right now the first thing that comes to mind is, Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry for swearing. Like,
well, you should have said that at the beginning of the conversation.
I also say please and thank you, or I try to.
Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah.
What is your favorite word?
Ooh, my favorite word. In what language?
Your choice. The best one. The top.
The best one. Hey,
the cherry on top of the cream.
That's really, I mean, language is such a big part of my life that that's
choose three.
One. I think serendipity is a beautiful word.
Yeah,
like how it sounds, it means, it's got a nice ring to it, you know?
Yeah.
And you can like, it's got enough
syllables. It's 5 quarters.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's got a little bit of swing. So I think I'm going to go with that. Probably.
Okay. So you do have one word. That's good.
If I have to choose, if you ask me again in 10 minutes, it'll be another one, but you know.
Okay. I'll try. What's your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. Oh my God. Moist.
That's an original answer. I like it.
That nobody wants to think about or talk about. It is a pointless word in the English language, and it's disgusting. Next question.
What turns you on creatively, emotionally, or spiritually?
Being intellectually challenged. I am very fortunate to have a few people around me, a few friends inside and out the industry that share, an interest. I won't say a love because then people are going to know that I'm in any way like knowledgeable, which I'm not. But modern art, philosophy, history, stuff like that. I can talk about like weird historical facts forever and ever and ever. I am reading a book on the trolley dilemma right now called "Would You Kill the Fat Man?" The answer is yes.
Really?
Yeah, and
that's interesting.
I
don't like the trolley problem.
No, I mean we're living it right now. Are we like killing one person to save 6 or not? And how does this work? And it's really interesting. So being intellectually challenged for me is a really good way to connect to people because it means that I'm probably learning something new, and we can exchange things that are kind of you can explore common ground, and you can also exchange knowledge that is not it's not currency, if that makes sense. And I think liberating.
Our answer to the trolley problem at the moment is that we sacrifice ourselves for the greater good.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm it kind of depends on context, I guess, but I'm inclined to say that I think I'm a much more of a utilitarianist than I thought I was. Because you see that here in the Netherlands as well. Our prime minister refuses to talk to Russia, even though we're massively fucking up our vaccine program. And Germany is like
there isn't one.
Exactly. Like First it was we'll get everyone like in the normal population vaccinated by March, and now it's like June. Nobody really knows.
No, it's October, man. It's October.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, September 2022, I'll be working my first festival again. I'm excited to be there.
Exactly.
But
I was asked by my U.S. agent 2 days ago, are you vaccinated? Can you travel in July? I was like, Okay, I'm going to Israel to get vaccinated tomorrow. It's like what? Where is my plane ticket?
If that was a thing, if like vaccine tourism was a thing, I would go right now, like right now.
Me too.
But anyway,
Yeah,
we were not doing this. You said so. What's yeah?
Yeah. What turns you off?
Woo. Unpopular opinion, I guess, especially for someone in my position. I think my biggest turnoff is when people, not just musicians, but like bring their frustration and negativity to a level where it's no longer manageable and where they no longer want to talk about it. Because whether you're a musician or the boy next door or a plumber or whatever, whoever you are, technically the world doesn't really owe you anything for just existing in it. I believe in reciprocity and balance. So I find it I'm an optimistic person. I love to laugh, especially at my own stupidness. And, it's important to not take everything so seriously all the time. So, I find it difficult when, people, to get stuck in this negative routine, because at the end of the day, I think that there's always a way, and there's always some, I'm a glass half full plus there's more room for more type person.
Yes.
And
there's not enough gin in my glass.
But at least there's
always
some.
room for more.
Yeah, but at least there is some. I mean, if the cup's half full, great, we have a drink. Great, we have space for more. Amazing.
Yes.
I just really think that that is
I just bring my own cup.
A balanced diet is a drink in each hand.
Exactly. Tea and coffee.
Oh, I had coffee and I had water, but the well's running dry. But anyway, I believe that there is always a way. And sure, horrible things happen to good people, and vice versa. But it's really important to not get stuck in that, because I've been around bitter people for longer periods of time, and it just doesn't give you anything. It doesn't give them anything. It's important, to be positive and make the best of everything. My personal motto in this is just, whatever bad happens in my life, I hope it's at least funny.
Yeah. Well, at least you can laugh at yourself. I think that's an advantage. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is your favorite curse word?
Oh man. I tend to get really, when I'm frustrated, I get really creative with my language in Dutch. And we have this weird thing, like for everybody that's watching that's not familiar with the Dutch, we curse with diseases. Corona hasn't really made it into our vocabulary yet.
Not yet.
I have high hopes for the future. I watched a documentary series on Netflix the other day. I think it's called The History of Cursing, because I was very interested to know why the Dutch actually
tried to watch that, and I watched 10 minutes, and I was like, this guy sets me off. I just don't want to watch him.
It's Nicolas Cage. I should have known better. But anyway, I'm not really sure why we do it, because most other countries, I recently learned, I can't really remember what it is, like from the top of my head, but one of my Russian friends taught me how to say brainless worm, you were made with a finger, which I thought was really good.
What's that sound like in Dutch?
It's super creative. It is so good. But yeah, no, I'm not really sure what my favorite curse word is. I think I value creativity over just saying fuck. Although fuck can really, I mean, research has shown actually that your pain threshold is higher when you curse. So
your what is higher?
Your pain threshold, you can handle more pain.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So if we both get slapped in the face and I scream and curse and whatever, and you just don't say anything, then your pain level will be like your experience, your pain level higher than me.
I should start screaming then.
I'm at a safe distance, and I'm not a violent person, so don't look at me for this one.
I actually get blamed sometimes on tour that I get apathic. Like people tell me like, all this shit is happening around you. How come you don't respond to it? And I was like, well, if I start responding to it, I'll get caught up in it. And then that will take my focus to wherever this is. And I won't be able to focus on my performance or to fucking solve the problem, which is like what you need to do. So usually when I have this mechanism that I postpone my pain till later. So I like, okay, this is happening now. I'm not going to do it. I'm not engaging. I'm just going to solve the problem. And then at night, after coming back to the hotel room, then I'm like, oh shit, this happened today. You know? So it's a great mechanism for on tour, but not so great for insomnia.
No, I can see why. But it is important, I think. It's kind of relating to what I said earlier. It's important to not get stuck in and get sucked in your own pity party, you know, because really good if you can like flick that switch. And just, I mean, on the one hand, as long as you deal with it later, because, you know, internalizing things is never a good idea either. It's better to, you know, have friends that you can just like drink with and scream at and go, what? Everything sucks. And, you know, it's really important to vent, but at the same time, like there's a time and a place for everything. So, I mean, I've played shows like days before or days after, you know, people have died, for example, and it's just these things, they're horrible and they happen, but you got to keep going. Yeah, like, you can't be on tour and take a day off just because you're having a shit day. Just, you know.
Yeah, I agree. My bestie says that I should make an internet series about all the crazy things that happened to me on tour. I think the production value would be too high for me to pay if I have to recreate all these scenes. But I can maybe do just the dialogue. What sound or noise do you love?
What?
What sound or noise do you love?
Well, I mean, you know, the corny answer would of course be music. I love so many different kinds of music. It's impossible to like dig into that like right now. But I think one of the things I've been doing recently is, you know, I'm sure that I'm not the only one that like has trouble sleeping with everything that goes on in the world right now. So I have this app that plays a thing that they call the rain on tent noise, and it does kind of sound like rain on tent campus. And camping's not really my jam, but at the same time, the noise is really nice. It's really nice to fall asleep to. So that's something. Yeah.
I need silence.
Yeah. Oh no, I always like, this is also, I'm one of those people that fall asleep like mid Netflix. So moving pixels and background noise and everything is just like, I'm not really sure why.
It's not happening to me at all. Yeah. What sound or noise do you hate?
I think, I mean, this is probably also something that goes for everybody, but like the scratch of like cutlery on a plate. Not really.
I hate that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily eating noises. I'm kind of okay with that, although they can make me uncomfortable if I've had a really long day. I don't want to.
Chewing?
You know, no, not really. Well, loud chewing maybe. But I appreciate like etiquette and table manners. Contrary to popular belief, I do actually. This is something that matters to me. But at the same time, just like the scratchy.
Yeah.
It gives me like goosebumps and everything, like thinking about it. Just,
yeah.
No.
I hate doing the dishes. I wear like noise canceling headphones and earplugs when I do the dishes.
Oh wow.
I'm a freak. I know. Well, it's all right. I can laugh about it, at least.
Well, we have that in common. This is why we're friends.
Yes.
You can also
What?
that.
What? Sorry.
I said you can also laugh at me. I'm fine with that. Anyway,
Okay, good. You can laugh at me too. We'll be laughing buddies. What else? I wanted to ask you a couple more questions. Oh yeah, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
what profession? Ooh.
Yes.
You know what? I've been making music since I was like 12, I think. I haven't been on stage in a long time. I don't enjoy it anymore. I really don't. I enjoy putting
Why
other
not?
people on stage. I don't know. I played a really, really, really bad set as a singer-songwriter, I think, like 10 years ago. And I got off stage. It was at a local festival, I think. And I got off stage and I knew it was terrible and it didn't bother me. And then I thought, you know what? It's time to quit. I just,
You didn't try hard enough.
no, I like to. I'm a hedonist in that sense. I follow my own happiness. It's you got to do what you're good at, and you know, I'd rather have other people that genuinely enjoy the stage and everything. You know, I think that's better for me. You know, even like being here, just like it makes me nervous. Just like, I don't like the spotlight.
No, come on, we're in this together.
Yeah. Thank God for that. But no, it makes me feel super awkward. So it's just
play on the street. It will do it. Like that's how I got over my stage fright. I played on the street.
I just, you know, I don't think that I have to enjoy everything. So
wow, that's a very Kantian way to look at life.
I am extremely fucking fortunate. Are you kidding me? I mean, I worked for a bunch of like amazing people around the world. I still work for amazing people around the world. I get to do so many things that I really love. And I work for people that are like fine with like the weird geeky shit that I love doing, like researching Spotify playlists or something, like web detectiving my way around trying to get our artists on big playlists and like finding people and stuff. I love all of that. And I love the production and I love coming up with like, new creative concepts and everything. All of this is amazing. If I have to do one really shit thing every week to be able to do all of this, man, why not? Sign me up, you know? It's fine. Yeah. It's like I said, I believe in balance. And so far, I'm super fortunate and super lucky, especially right now. So
yeah, don't get a bot installed on your website. Get Arlette to do it for you.
I'm for hire. That is true.
Yeah. What profession other than you on would you not like to do?
What would I not like to do? I mean, I'm not a booking agent because I just genuinely do not enjoy it. I've done that for a few years. I don't like it. I don't know why. It's not even that I don't think I'm necessarily bad at it. It's like, no. I've like been on so many like parts of the spectrum of the industry and I just don't like it.
Funny.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly not sure why.
It's kind of the same as sending out press releases.
Yeah, I guess.
It's the same effect, it's the same action. You're lobbying for something.
Yeah, but I guess the advantage, like, it's not that I don't like negotiation. I was in law school for 2 years. I like enjoy a good haggle, you know.
She can argue.
But at the same time, it's just, I guess what I like about press is that you're actually giving someone the opportunity to hear something that hopefully they will enjoy. Because
it's the same with booking. You're giving somebody to hear the opportunity to hear something live that they will enjoy.
Yeah, except they'll also have to pay for it, whereas in press that's not the same.
You mean that they don't buy the product? But what? Well, it's just the money exchange then. That makes it dirty for you.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I do, now that I think about it, actually, it's not entirely true. I do handle some bookings. Some. Everyone, when it like comes up, it's like, oh, we're doing this, and by the way, we also have this show that we need to talk about. So I do a little bit of it, but I don't really do the salesy
Yeah.
But you're right.
Last
Actually.
question.
More similar than I thought. You're right. It's an interesting thought. I'll have to chew on that for a little bit.
Yeah. I think there's something else there. We probably have to dwell into it over a few
That would be
GMTs.
interesting. That would be interesting. I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My last question is actually my favorite question. I wish I had wrote it myself. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you enter the gates?
If heaven existed, what would you're assuming I'm going to heaven. Bold move. Thanks, man.
I said if it exists, and if you're going, what would you like to hear God say?
I think at this point I'm tour managing the way to hell with like all of my friends, but
exactly. Stairway to hell.
What would you like God to say? I have a lot of thoughts on that. More than I thought.
Give me all of them.
Give me all of them. All your friends are here, and the bar is open all night. Plus, actually, saxophones are not from hell. By the way, it's a long thing. I mean, there was a time when people, really, really hated saxophones. So, but I think it was also a lot of bad people that hated saxophones. So.
Yeah, I'm not a big I mean, like, I like it to a certain amount, but in the same way that I like the violin to a certain extent, Right. I rather have I would say if I do like the saxophone, it's either a tenor or the baritone. I don't like the alto and the sopranos that much. Yeah, so high pitched instruments.
I'm kind of on the same.
Certain.
Like, do you know Teeny Thompson?
Yeah,
I love her.
Yeah, but I think it's not so much to do with the pitch, but more about the whining effect of most musicians in the phrasing of most musicians. When you play a high pitched instrument, you tend to whine more in your phrasing, and not a lot of people know how to avoid that, I think. So then I
understand what you mean. I mean, I actually find myself right now exclusively working for saxophone players, which I find very interesting. I do.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened either, but I'm. I enjoy saxophone. If I have to, choose for myself, probably like piano jazz or a good trumpet or a nice trombone, like amazing.
Trombone.
Easily, like mostly piano stuff, I would say for me. But I do enjoy saxophones. It's just that I think because there's so many like very famous saxophone players, it's people have been trying really, really hard to like be super original and like change the pitch and change the phrasing and everything, and it doesn't always work out. Sometimes when something gets invented, it actually like gets invented that way because it works, and sometimes you don't have to fix what's broken. But it depends. There's a couple of really versatile people that I love to listen to.
Cool. Well, that concludes the interview. Thanks for being such an awesome guest.
Thank you for
having
me.
To share your wisdom.
It's so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And go to your friend there that you said hello to. Like I was like,
no, it's just, I'm actually in I'm in this like creative space, and I think I was supposed to leave this meeting room like 45 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. So
I'm now leaving, and
you're getting kicked out.
I don't know.
Well, you're welcome to come back anytime.
Thanks. I would love to. Hey, Jacob. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Big shout out to all the listeners. Thanks for watching. If you still have questions, you can still post them in the comments, and we will try to address them. Don't forget to check out whydiymusic.com for the course. And I'm going to say goodbye to Arlette and tell you a few more things after she goes. So take your packlisses elsewhere, and see you very soon. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Always.
It was awesome to have you here.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye.
Ciao for now.
Ciao for now. I like that.
Hey, so thank you so much for joining us today. As you know, all donations for this podcast will be used to help young musicians get a proper education. So please visit ydiymusic.com/donate to make your contribution. You could also send a direct PayPal transfer to paypal.me/noamvazana. Join me every Thursday at 12 o'clock CET, Central European Time, both on Facebook and on YouTube. And we have some exciting guests coming up. We just heard that Aubrey Logan is going to be on the podcast in a couple of weeks, so I'll be seeing you soon. In the meantime, head over to ydiymusic.com to check out my course for independent musicians or make a donation and support this podcast. The links are in the description below. In the meantime, good luck, keep calm, and DIY.